What's up YouTube? omegaLVLgamer here, or Jason. This is my new channel. It's going to be retro games, pickup videos, collection videos. I had a previous channel, but it was kind of a mix of just everything I was into. The name didn't really work. It was an inside joke that people obviously wouldn't understand because it's an inside joke. But I wanted a channel that's strictly gaming. So for any of the people that are gonna have came over or will come over from my previous channel, I appreciate it. Let me just start out by saying a little bit about myself. I've been collecting video games for about 5 to 7 years, give or take. I mean, I had stuff from my childhood that I put into my collection when I chose to start collecting again. But probably 5 to 7 years, somewhere in between there, is how long I've been collecting really hard. I collect for just about every system, any system that I can get my hands on. Huge fan of the Nintendo 64, huge fan of the PS1, but that being said, like I said already, I do collect for just about every system. Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, the television. I've got a Milton Bradley Microvision, which if you don't know anything about that, it's probably because you shouldn't. It's really not that great. But what I wanted to do is just kind of introduce the new channel, as well as do a sort of a pickups video, just the highlights of what I've picked up since my last video from my channel from before and right now. And like I said, this is just the highlights. I probably picked up over 100 games. For tons of different systems and a couple different consoles. There are 2 consoles in this pickups video, but like I said, it's just the highlights, just to give you guys an idea of what I like to collect, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So we'll start out with the only non-video game related, but it is video game related thing, and that is a 1982 Donkey Kong board game based off, and it says based on the arcade game. I bought this from a flea market for $8. Looked them up online. When I looked them up a couple months ago, they were going for about $30–40. So pretty excited to pick this up for $8. Can't beat it. The next pickup we'll do, I got these from Craigslist, and there's a lot of people that do tips on YouTube on buying for a collection, tips to help you with collecting your video games, and I've learned a lot from YouTube, and I hope maybe I can teach some people some things. This is kind of an easy tip that a lot of people already know, is it never hurts to ask. The guy wanted like $40. I didn't want to spend $40. I wanted to have money in case I found something else. Told him I would do 30. He thought about it and said, yeah, that's fine. So I got 3 Sega Genesis games. The first one being Shadowrun. All these are box complete. I was a huge fan of Shadowrun on the Xbox 360. I've got some Shadowrun figures. I've done research on the comic books. I've heard that they're actually doing a Kickstarter to get a sequel of this version to this game. So super happy to get this. I do have the Super Nintendo one, but it's just the cartridge only, so to get a complete Genesis game for essentially $10, you can't beat it. And then the last 2 from that deal on Craigslist was Phantasy Star 3 and Phantasy Star 4. And again, these are all complete in the box, really nice shape. Super happy to add these to the collection. And we'll just keep it on the Sega end of things. I went into a Goodwill, and to me, I hit the jackpot. I'm not sure what prices are where everybody else lives. Obviously, there's eBay, but the things I've got are normally insanely overpriced at any of the old game stores. And that's something about me. I don't really like to shop at used video game stores. They like to overprice things to take advantage of people's nostalgia. So I normally do thrift stores, flea markets, and pawn shops. But even for a thrift store, this was an amazing deal. The first thing I got was the Sega Master System. My brother owned one of these when we were younger. I've never had one myself until now. And this is just another tip, something that I've been doing for a long time. This was $14.99, but then they wanted $5 each for the controllers and $5 each for the cords. So what you do is I plugged the controllers in, wrapped them around the system, plug the cords in, wrap them around the system, and bring it up. I mean, if they charge you for the controllers and all that, if they see the price tags, you know, that's fine. Some people are a little more shady about things, and take the price tags off. That's up to you. But brought it up. She charged me $14.99. I grabbed it and said, "Oh, I'll bag it myself." Threw it in the bag and got this for $15. So that was really cool. Another thing I saw that day, and I had seen one of these before, and it was at a used game store, and they wanted $40 for it. I didn't want to spend $40, so I saw this and was super excited. Another tip for you, as well as putting things on the systems, this was actually on a Sega Genesis, and they wanted like $20 for it, which didn't make any sense. I took this off of it, brought it up with everything I purchased, and said, "Hey, I saw this, it doesn't have a price, can I get a price on it?" They're like, "Oh, let's take a look." They brought it back to the guys that do the pricing, and came back to me and said $8. So I got the Sega Genesis Model 1 power-based converter that lets you play the old Master System games, both versions, the little memory card looking games and the cartridges themselves. And I actually got one of the card games. It's not really a noteworthy title to show it to you guys right now. I'm trying to keep this kind of short, but I tested them all out. Both of those systems do work. Some of the games that I did get that are noteworthy from that Goodwill were all 3 Streets of Rage complete in the box for the Sega Genesis. These were $3.99 each. Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3. And looked these up. I knew they were worth a decent amount, but I looked them up on eBay. That's what I like to do, just to justify what I spend. Like, oh yeah, see, you know, that was a good deal. But I looked these up. There was a lot of all 3 of these games selling that had just sold on eBay that went for $100. So that was pretty cool. Try and get through this pretty fast, like I said, just to keep it kind of short. But I've went to a mom and pop thrift store consignment shop. It's called the Digger's Den. I picked up 2 Sega Master System games. The first one I was kind of excited about, and it's Strider. This is somewhat of a more expensive title for the Master System, not insanely pricey, but $5, 30% off. Found this, and then right after that I found Golden Axe Warrior. $5, 30% off. If you know anything about the Master System, this is a pretty hard game to get. Brought it up to the counter and said, "I want to buy these." I didn't want him to, you know, to look them up. Some people do that, look them up and realize that they're worth more than they're charging. He said, "Great, that'll be $7 whatever it was and change," and I gave him my credit card, said there's a $10 minimum for credit cards. So I was like, oh man, thought about just telling him, charge me $5, I don't want to buy anything else, but I said, you know what, I'll look around and see what else I can find, and walked into a back room I didn't know existed, and found this, the Sega Master System 2 for $15, plus this was also 30% off. Again, everything I have is tested, works great. I'd only seen this one time before I bought it, and that was in a video that I hadn't seen too long before I got this. So to find out about it and then automatically find it in a store for so cheap was just awesome. And this is a really neat looking system. Compact. I've been playing with it while I'm explaining it to you guys, but it's got this little flip door thing. So that was cool. Super cheap. Then we've got a couple. I got this game from a pawn shop. Just to me, it's cool. Worth noting, and it's Turtles 4: Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo. Pretty nice shape, and this was $5. This was a Craigslist deal. I only had $20 at the time I saw this on there. The guy had a ton of games listed, individually priced. This one was $40, I believe. And I said, hey, would you take 20? And he just said, yeah. So again, it never hurts to ask. So Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo, $20, and this thing is in really nice shape. And it was actually even a sweeter deal because he said he couldn't really drive too far. Gas money was an issue, so he said if I drove come get them, he would throw something in, and I got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES box. It doesn't have the manual, but it's got the game in great shape. To get a box game and Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo for 20 bucks, you can't beat it. Now the last two things I'm really excited to show you. I've never had one of these, let alone getting two, and I say that I got both of these within a week of each other. The first one I got was a trade. I traded my PSP and a couple extra Game Boys that I had. I wanted to get rid of my PSP because it was modded, and I'm realized that I don't want a modded PSP. I like to collect. I want to actually have the games in hand and not have to go through the work of downloading them. And I don't know, if you've dealt with modded PSPs, it's easy, but it's not easy. So for that, I got a boxed Super Nintendo. It says the Super NES control set, and it didn't lose any of its shape. It's all squared out. I don't know. I was super excited to get this in the trade. For what I traded him, to me it was definitely worth it. The systems works, it's got the styrofoam, the manuals, everything that it's supposed to come with. And along with that trade, I got a couple games, and there's two that I'm not going to show. They're not really rare or worth noting, but it was Donkey Kong Country 3 and Super Ghouls and Ghosts. But I did get Kirby Superstar, and this was mostly for my wife. This is her favorite video game character. So in the trades, Kirby Superstar, this is a great game. But the other game that I got that made it really worth it to me was Final Fantasy 3 for the Super Nintendo. I mean, this game goes for about 30-35 bucks by itself on eBay for a cheap copy, so to get that was pretty awesome. And then the last thing I'm going to show you before I say goodbye is I got actually another Super Nintendo box. Saw it on Craigslist. The guy said he wanted 75 bucks. Out of curiosity, just to see if he would take it, I emailed him and said, hey, would you take 50? He says, yeah. We set up a time to meet the next day. Before we met to buy it for 50, he calls and says, hey, it doesn't have the game it was supposed to come with. Would 40 be okay? I said, I mean, I already asked you to take 25 bucks off of what you were asking for. If you want to do 40, that's fine with me. I'm fine with 50. He said 40's fine. So an even better deal than the Super Nintendo I got a little bit after that, which was the last one for the trade. I got this for 40 bucks. The Super NES Donkey Kong set. Paint is perfect. It's got a little wear on the corners, which is normal, but it didn't lose any of its shape over the years. It did have an insane amount of packing tape on it though, and so I took my time. My wife helped me out getting the tape off, trying to get no paint from this ripped off. There was a little bit on the sides, but if you've ever taken tape off of console boxes, that's going to happen. But I was really excited for 40 bucks. So thanks for watching. Subscribe, like if you liked the video. Again, to all the people from my previous channel, if you guys are watching this, thanks. And I look forward to making videos for you guys, pickups videos, and probably the next video I'm going to make is a collection video. So not sure how many comments I'm going to get, but if you want to comment down below of what collection you'd like to see, I've got regular Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64, GameCube, Atari. I've got tons of different systems, and television, Xbox 360, Game Boy, Game Gear, you name it, I've probably got it. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.